وَلَا تَتَّبِعِ الْهَوَى فَيُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And follow not your desire, for it will mislead you from the path of Allah.
If it's the case that there's no Tawheed, it's not possible in any way, shape or form for you, the human being, to experience alleviation of the chest. Without Tawheed, any other avenue, any other method, it's absolutely useless. Regardless of what method you adopt, whether it's nutrition. I'm experiencing tightness in my chest right now. I'm experiencing a life that is tight and suffocating and hard. I want to be released from it. So then, as some people say, nutrition in certain aspects, it helps the person if he's suffering from some type of psychological problem, for example. Yes, that has some room, some space. But even if you have the best of nutrition and the best of vitamins and the best of minerals, and you're ensuring that you are not taking any type of toxic food into you're not consuming anything toxic. You're ensuring all the materials in your house, your furniture, none of it is made out of toxic materials, things that could affect the brain. Yes, it does have a place. But even if you had all of that, if there's no Tawheed in your life, it's useless. All the effort that you're putting in, it's useless. You're not going to be able to attain that alleviation, that relaxation. Wealth. A person may have wealth upon wealth. Millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. He might have much real estate, possess buildings. Imagine that, possessing buildings upon buildings in different countries. He might even be a leader of a country, for example. A leader of a country, of a big, strong country. And he has buildings upon buildings that he owns and businesses that he owns. Perhaps in order to bring about that alleviation in his chest and that relaxation in his chest and to release the burden and the tightness that he feels inside of himself, he opens up a channel for himself. Because fame, people believe, fame and recognition and being recognized and getting respect from people, that's going to give me happiness. So he has maybe a channel or a program on TV. And by way of that channel and by way of that program, he becomes famous. He thinks this is going to bring me happiness. This is going to take that darkness that's inside of me. Even if you have wealth, a billionaire, even if you have fame and fortune, even if you have position, a leader, for example, of a country, but when you look at his face, you see nothing other than the signs of misery and gloom on his face. Why do you find this? He's got everything. Money, power, status, recognition. But because he doesn't have this thing here, a tawheed, because he doesn't have this in his heart, it's not possible for him to attain any type of alleviation. It's not possible for her to attain any type of relaxation for his chest. So tawheed, that is the main cause. And if you think about it, it makes sense. How is it intellectually, logically possible for you to have a life that is happy and relaxed if you're not fulfilling the purpose behind life itself? Just the other day, I was speaking to an individual. Just the other day, earlier on this week, I was speaking to an individual and I asked him, the conversation led to me asking him, do you believe in a creator? Initially he said, I'm not religious. So then it led to the conversation, it led to me asking him, do you believe in, what's your belief concerning a creator and how you came into existence? He said, no, I don't believe in anything of that nature. I don't believe in a God. I said, but then how did everything that's in existence come into existence? The stars, the skies, the galaxy, you. How did all of this come into existence? He goes, evolution. So I said, okay, without going into that, that's just the process by which things have apparently come into existence, even though we know that's a batil, false theory. But that's just the process in terms of how, is there an external agent? Is there someone else? Who is the one that brought this so-called evolutionary process into being? And he says, in his broad Lancashire accent, not to say that there's anything wrong with the Lancashire accent, you're all very nice people, but he says, books upon books upon books. Books, meaning, just like you have a book, it starts off with a word, doesn't it? And then expands into a sentence, and then expands into a paragraph, and then it expands into a chapter, and so on and so forth. So he's basically saying books upon books upon books. He says, obviously not an academic answer, but he says books upon books upon. I didn't entertain that. We were in a vehicle, and there was a bridge in front of us. So while we're on the road, he says to me, books upon books upon books. I said, look at that bridge that's right in front of you. I said, that bridge, does it sound reasonable for me to say that bridge came into existence by nothing? He said, no, obviously, somebody's made it. Obviously, somebody's made it. I said, that bridge there, obviously, somebody's made it. Obviously, somebody's brought it into existence. Somebody's designed it. Yet, this universe, which is more complex than that bridge, and you, the human being, which is more complex than that bridge, nothing brought you into existence? You know what he says to me? And this is what everybody says, don't they? That are of that belief. But every time they say it, you think about their answer, it's a shock. How can you say this? What does he say to me when I give him that example of the bridge? Logically, it doesn't make sense for it to come into existence by nothing, but you, the human being, has to come into existence by nothing. You know what he says? He says, well, I've never really looked into it that deeply, you know. I've never really given it that much thought. That's frightening. That is scary. How is it possible for a human being not to give thought about why he is here in the first place? He would never, if it was the case that he woke up one day and he's in a plane, he wakes up, he finds himself in a plane, flying up in altitude. What's the first thing that he's going to ask? What am I doing here? Why am I here? Who put me here? Naturally, it's the first thing that the person's going to ask. What am I doing here? Why am I here? Who put me here? What does he want from me? If that person wakes up in the plane and everybody is around him, one person's reading a book, another person's walking up and down the aisle, he says, what am I doing here? Who put me here? They say, just don't worry about it. What am I doing here? Who put me here? These aren't important questions. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Read a book. Have some fish. Go up and down the aisle. Go to the cockpit, see what the pilot is doing. He'd say, you're crazy. Who put me here? What am I doing here? This is somebody who wakes up in the plane. What about the person what about the person who's in this life and he doesn't ask himself? So what do these people do? They engage themselves in the love of this dunya. They engage themselves in running around this dunya, being heedless towards why they are here and what is the reason behind they are here. Why? Because thinking about why you are here, that is something, if a person thinks about it and he ponders about it, it's going to make him realize that there is an external being that is beyond this creation, and I have to give him his due. So these type of people, they live a life where they are heedless as to why they are here. They're blind as to why they are here. There is no tawheed in their hearts, and that is a scary reality to be in. How scary, much more scary can it be than living and not knowing why you're living. Being here and not knowing why you're being here. It's scary. And because of that, these are the people who are the tightest of chests. For that reason, this person who I had to spend, a vast amount of the day with, half or quarter of the day with, we were in a vehicle, and throughout the whole time, this person, he is miserable. 63-year-old man, grandfather, and he's miserable. Anybody that came in front of our way on the road, he was He was uttering that type of foul language that I didn't even know that was possible to be able to produce these type of swear words. He was producing such creative foul language, it was beyond my imagination. A 63-year-old man, if an old woman came in front of the vehicle that we were in, he would end up swearing and what have you. Miserable. What's the reason behind him being miserable? He owned properties. He has different types of vehicles that he owns, trucks and what have you. He goes on holiday to this place, Scotland. He goes sailing and what have you. Nice, cushy lifestyle. However, because of the fact that the primary reason and the primary cause of bringing about peace and alleviation in a man and a woman's chest is devoid in him, because of that, the man was miserable. Allah yahdihi, miserable. So the point being, ikhwan, the point being that Tawheed, that is the primary cause and the primary reason of a chest being expanded.